Welcome back, everybody. This is Rodrigo Fonador with another episode of Asheville Real Estate News. Really excited to talk with you all today about something that's actionable, something that we all can be part of a solution, and that's on how to make older homes, specifically mobile homes, more energy efficient. So if you're somebody who has mobile homes in your rental portfolio, or you know somebody who lives in mobile homes, pay special attention. So as you guys know, I'm a big mobile home fan. I think they're a great piece to the puzzle of housing here in Asheville. And so today I was joined by Hannah Egan and Yulia Shaffer. They're part of the Energy Savers Network group or organization. That falls under the Greenbuilt Alliance. So their goal is they go out and try to make older homes more energy efficient. And so we kind of get into this pretty tactical advice, and we're going to put together, well, when I say we, they're going to put together some information that you guys can get as part of the show notes or on the website afterwards if you want to kind of implement some of the changes that we talk about and try to make older homes or mobile homes specifically more energy efficient. So without further ado, let's welcome Hannah and Yulia to the show. Please share this episode. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys on the next one. Well, Hannah and Yulia, welcome to the show. Really excited to connect with you guys and just talk a little bit about energy saving and whatnot from a different perspective, right? So I'm going to recap my understanding, and then you guys can jump in just to make sure I got it correct, right? So this energy saving or the energy efficiency is not focusing on like what I normally used to think about it, which is like new construction and maximizing new building. It's more of like, hey, existing structures, probably ones that weren't built very well, energy efficient in mind to begin with, and how do you maximize those, right? So correct me if I'm wrong, and at the same time, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, Rodrigo. I'm Yulia, and I'm operations coordinator with the Energy Savers Network. And I have to say that you are correct, but you have to also consider that in this day and age, in the time of facing climate change, we have to address the lowest hanging fruit, and the lowest hanging fruit are existing buildings, and demolishing existing old buildings. First of all, it's hard to afford. All those people cannot really afford new homes, and but in order for us to shift towards more greener, renewable energy, the kind of world we all want to see, we have to also target what already is wrong, and those are existing homes that can easily be repaired, with the right expertise and professionals. Of course, not all of them, is sadly mobile homes not designed that well, but even then we can still help people significantly to improve energy efficiency of their home. And what is energy efficiency? Energy efficiency is how your home is performing as far as, how it's using the cooling air, how it's heating itself and cooling itself. So, new construction means green building, what materials and all that. But in older buildings, you can still improve energy efficiency with simple methods.
Right. Yeah. Just taking what's there, trying to figure out how to make it better and make it improved. Hannah, anything to add?
I'm the outreach and resource coordinator for Energy Savers Network and Greenbuilt Alliance. And just to kind of add to what Yulia was saying, there's so many people in this county, in this region as well, but we focus on Buncombe County. There's so many low-income households. As the region's growing, neighborhoods are being gentrified, people are being pushed out. These people can't afford even just the basics in order to make their homes more efficient or to fix health and safety issues they have going on with their homes. Or they might not even know that these issues are existing. So we're just there to provide education and also do the work ourselves in order to make their homes more comfortable and save them money on their utility bills.
Yeah, so so much to unpack there, and definitely want to get into it. But I've kind of been struck just right off the bat, like it's very almost very niche, right? What you all are trying to accomplish, and what the vision or the mission is. And curious to know, could you guys share how you ended up getting involved, or why you decided to pursue this focus?
Okay, well, so my background is I moved to Asheville in 2016 to attend a grad school at Ryan, and I was pursuing my master's in sustainability science. And actually, before I'm originally from Azerbaijan, Baku, but I moved here 12 years ago. I used to study architecture, but I never finished it because I moved to America. So I was pursuing sustainability science degree, and I was taking energy and materials course. And I've learned that building accounts for 60% of climate, like of carbon emissions. So, if we want to sort of like, that's how much buildings consume, especially if they're inefficient. So it's important to address that specific niche. And, people address it on many different levels. Businesses, new buildings, older buildings. And I wanted to get some experience in the community work. And I started looking for opportunities. And I found on Volunteer Match this small grassroots organization called Energy Service Network. They weren't even an organization yet. They were just a small, like 4 people, like a really determined people that wanted to make difference, that who recognized that in order for us to address climate change, we gotta get there fast. And we can't just sit and wait, on some changes from officials or government. We gotta take action. Their model was to recruit. I'm screaming, or we have a acupuncture clinic below. Sorry. So we have the model was to recruit volunteers and train them to do very simple energy efficiency upgrades, like changing light bulbs, wrapping water heaters, to keep the heat in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure you'll ask more about the scope. So, and I started volunteering with them, but I also realized that they had so many needs, and they had very weak infrastructure for volunteers. And I was a master's student, and I needed a project for my capstone. And I read this incredible paper that looked at volunteers from a sustainability lens. It looked at volunteers from a public resource good. It's a public resource. So if you do not have right infrastructure, you will burn volunteers out. You will take their desire to continue contributing, all inspire other volunteers to, also be engaged in community work. And you take away from other organizations that have good infrastructure, and offer a lot of great kind of mission so that's why I was like, wait a second, this could be my master's project. So I started helping them writing a volunteer management handbook. And then first I was hired as part-time volunteer coordinator. And a year later, I was hired as operations coordinator. And, since then we've been evolving. And that's how I landed here. And I never thought that's what I will be doing.
Cool. Wow. That is the journey.
Yeah. Yeah, Yulia is a success story living the American dream.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, I ended up here. I'm originally from the Baltimore area. I got my Bachelor of Science degree from Appalachian State in Sustainable Development with a focus on community, regional, and global development. So I had moved around after college, went abroad for a while. Ended up coming back to the Western North Carolina region in 2016, and it being Asheville, this industry to make ends meet. But then I discovered that Greenbelt Alliance was hiring for an intern position, and I'd always wanted to get involved in the nonprofit sector. So I figured, why not? And I started with Greenbelt as an intern, helping with fundraisers, the directory, and sorry. And And so then they hired me on part-time to help with certain projects. And then as Energy Savers Network was growing, they needed a lot more help. We also started taking advantage of certain Duke programs to get reimbursed for our time and for the measures that we do. So they definitely needed a lot more help. So I still help Greenbuilt with certain aspects, but I'm mostly am behind the scenes. I do client relations, I manage our database, and I'm still our liaison between Energy Savers Network and Duke in order to make sure that we get reimbursed as much as possible for the work we do to keep our program going.
Okay, so 2 really quick questions, and we might touch more in depth on them. So who are your clients then?
Our clients are low-income households in Buncombe County. So their annual income has to be within 200% of the poverty guidelines. So that varies how many occupants you have in your household. And they can be homeowners, they can be renters. We typically don't do apartments or things like that just because they're usually owned by a company that takes care of certain things. So it doesn't, and unfortunately in apartment complexes, we don't get the results that we do in site-built homes and mobile homes because they're all connected.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we do lots of client recruitment at community markets, food pantries, and we collaborate with other organizations as well and try and help each other out that way and help as many people in the community as possible that need it.
It's very interesting because right now we're facing a lot of challenges during the pandemic, because we sort of had to reinvent the wheel because a lot of organizations would connect to clients before. For example, there's Evelyn Charities. It's a place, it's a light heap assistance. It's called Low Income Heating Assistance Program, where they give people money if they can't afford their utility bills, or they give them oil, kerosene, things like that. And that used to be our venue where we would train volunteers and send them there, where they would just, come to the people waiting in the waiting room and share about our program. Because even if they get help for their heating bill, we can still come help them to lower their heating bill with our measures. And that was our hottest line, the leads line. So now we have to connect to other organizations, but there's a lot of, as Hannah said, food markets and places that already serve that's community too. So we connect to them now. So
we talk a lot about it, affordable housing here, because obviously it's a very relevant conversation if you're in real estate. What is the 200% give or take? Can you give me a numeric number that's a little bit easier to wrap our head around instead of a percentage? And I know, obviously you said it fluctuates, so it's not set in stone, but just give or take.
Yeah. I wouldn't know actually I don't want to lie. 2020 federal guidelines I haven't checked yet. I feel like with all the pandemic, it probably have changed. But the 2019 federal poverty guidelines, 200% level, it would be if there's one person in a household, it's about $25,000. And then if there's 2 people in a household, it's about $29,000. And then you add about I think $6,000 or $8,000 for each member. So
gotcha.
It's according to our statistics of the Buncombe County, there's at least 40,000 households that would fall into this category.
Wow.
Yeah, it's no, sorry. Because I don't. Well, Buncombe County is huge, so yes. I know it's about 40%. I think.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wait, 40% or 40,000?
Well, I'm just trying to.
And if you don't know, that's okay. I think there's a big difference between those 2 numbers there. So
yeah, I did say that. Well, it is. I think it's 40,000. So
40,000 households would fall inside of that 2019 guideline.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I guess that's a lot of work. Yeah. But on that note, it sounds like you guys partner with or get a lot of support from Duke if they're willing to reimburse. So can you talk a little bit about that relationship? Because I don't know much about Duke other than, that they provide power, but I also read a lot about the negative things that they do, or just kind of this negative perception that they have. So maybe, yeah. So what's going on with that, I guess?
Sure. So yeah, I completely understand that. And I know a lot of people are skeptical of Duke. And we all have our own opinions, but in our case, they actually help us out a lot. So we take advantage of, there's a program called Fee for Service. So they will reimburse us for certain measures that we do at clients' homes. So they'll reimburse us for LED light bulbs. If we do air sealing and use a blower door and do the blower door test and show positive results. If we install low flow water fixtures or shower heads, and if we insulate their hot water heater and their pipes connected to that, they will reimburse us for those measures. We just have to make sure that we have all of our documentation and all of our ducks in a row, because they will audit us. So that helps us a lot, just in just supplies in itself, just because things they're not free, and we use a lot of them. So that helps us out a lot. We also have one other program that we have worked with them on. It's called the Helping Home Fund.
Okay.
So we were able to go into our clients' homes and do projects. So we could do health and safety issues, such as, if there was a hole in their floor or their ceiling, if they needed help with getting their gutters fixed or replaced, anything like that. And then we also could replace appliances as well. So if their refrigerator wasn't working, if their dryer isn't working, or if they needed a dehumidifier, we were able to provide those things for them. We also had, and within that program, we were able to do some HVAC services. So we could either service and tune their HVAC system, or we could replace it altogether. A lot of these homes are older, so they have really old, inefficient, oil furnaces, or in a lot of cases, they just don't work at all. So there's no heating and cooling, which is definitely a danger. So we were able to either fix them or provide them with a new mini split heat pump.
But I want to jump back a little bit and talk about Duke specifically, why Duke is supporting us, and why we became visible. And, we thankfully, we received funding from Buncombe County, and it will also explain you what the Blue Horizons project is. Okay. So, we know that energy demand has been growing in Buncombe County, with people moving here, houses deteriorating, energy costs rising. And according to the statistics, have you heard about the Rocky Mountain Institute?
I have not heard about Rocky Mountain Institute.
Rocky Mountain Institute is an amazing nonprofit research scientist. I call them the main scientist there. His name is Amory Levins. He's like a modern Einstein, that is just the genius who has this innovative understanding that, how communities should transform, their energy future with consideration of equity and justice and, community capacity building. So in Buncombe County in 2016, the Duke Energy, and so they hired, so the Rocky Mountain Institute was hired by Sustainability Office, by City of Asheville, by Buncombe County, and by Duke, who partnered together, realizing that soon enough they'll need to build a new power plant, because the energy demand was increasing and they're reaching capacity. And there were years where everybody, for example, cranking up the heat at night or something, and it would reach surplus, reach the capacity demand, which is okay, we got to do something fast, but we want to move away from coal and, natural gas. So what can we do? So Rocky Mountain Institute was hired to do study of the region, to understand what are the venues for this opportunity. How can we delay the peaker plant construction so we could slowly start transitioning towards cleaner energy? And it's a wonderful report, actually. If you're interested, I'll be happy to share it with you. And so can
I pause you really quickly? Because I have one other question about Duke, and I think we're about to move off of it. So I just want to circle back. No, we're not?
Move back to Duke. No,
oh, okay, cool. Never mind then. Go for it.
So based on this Rocky Mountain Institute report, it said that the lowest, like the most immediate, best impact we can do is to address low-income housing. What was shown is that, you know, in the cold winter mornings, that's when we reach the capacity, and that's like the biggest problem. And the picker plant that was supposed to be built by Duke was projected to be built in 2023, and people were debating, like, you know, they would have a very progressive city, so they were really against that. And so that's why Duke, so that's why I want to say that, yep, there is a lot of, you know, Duke gets a bad rep, but they heard people. They understood that they have to do something, you know, to delay the picker plant. And based on that report, lower income housing has been number one, like a priority, you know, because it's so equity and climate justice and all of it together. And I think that's why, you know, and that was around the time when we became a thing as far as grassroots movement. So it was crazy how all those things just like coincided, that that's how we got the funding from the city of Asheville, because, you know, we were specifically addressing that specific issue from that report. And I think that's why we received support from, no, I don't think, I know why we received support from Duke, is because they understand the need for that, and they understand that what we can provide to the clients is very limited scope, and they can help more through, you know, their resources. So I don't know.
I have a bunch of questions, but I guess the first one is, and we might, obviously we'll probably come around full circle. So I've been here in Asheville for doing the real estate thing for 8 years now. I've never heard about you guys until, I don't even remember, 6 months or 8 months ago, or whenever it was that I think you guys reached out, right? I don't remember. Was it you, Hannah? Right. So how is it that, like, you guys are obviously providing something that's super beneficial? I've never heard anybody else mention it. We connect. I'm listening to this. I'm like, how, like, this is a major service. Why are you guys keeping it secret? Or like, do you not have capacity to take on more people, or what? Like, this feels like there's a major disconnect. Like, why wouldn't everybody be on board with this?
Well, we would love to get as much exposure as possible. You know, that's part of the goal in doing this, you know, just spreading the word, letting people know that we're here. We do tend to, when we do client recruitment, we do tend to go out and do person-to-person, face-to-face, explain to the community who we are, what we do. We have to gain their trust. Right. Because I think when people hear us and they say, we provide these free services, they're like, I don't believe you. Or, okay, but what is this really going to cost me? You know, so it's really important for us to have that face-to-face and have that connection and gain the community's trust. And get, like, we're entering people's homes. It's their place. It's very intimate. You know, we're everywhere in their house. So I think that people tend to, you know, when they hear things, free services, they just tend to not trust it or write it off. But we are.
And it really is free. Sorry, it really is free for the.
As long as we can income qualify the household, it is free. But I just lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But I wanted to add, actually, a very important part is that it's me. We have a project leader who's Kelvin Bonilla, and Hannah, who's part-time, our incredible resource. So, you know, we don't want to actually, we want to, like, we have a goal. So last year we served 200 families. So this year we hope to increase our number, and pandemic slowed us down. So, and, you know, we also have to recruit volunteers to train them, to recruit clients, to train them. And as Hannah said, it takes time to build trust in the community. It takes time to build momentum. So we are actually slowly growing. We, in terms of, you know, spreading our word, and we have been reached out by many different counties, by Haywood County, by other counties who are saying, like, hey, we heard what you guys do, and we want to start the same program here. You know, we would love to expand, and we hope that somebody will look at our model and will be like, hey, can we pick up your model and bring it to our community? Because, you know, if we will be on all the billboards and the clients will be calling us, all those 40,000 people, we're just gonna burn out too quickly. And there's a few other organizations in the community, like community action opportunities. It's have you heard about Wupp, Weatherization Assistance Programs? It's wide, not statewide. It's a federal assistance program. So, and they do entire weatherization of like low-income housing, like where they do insulation, they do everything, they use their HVAC system, but because their scope is much bigger, they can serve way less people in a year. And there's another great organization that also provides very many different resources for housing. It's called Mountain Housing Opportunities. So we all sort of support each other, and often we the people that come and do the very basic low-hanging fruit work, and then we pass it on or recommend them to the other organizations. So yeah, I understand what you're saying and I would love us to be well known, because we want more volunteers, we want more clients, and we always have to think strategically. And for example, we have been in a few different newspapers before, and I know that under Greenville Alliance supervision, we will become more transparent as far as visible for the community. Right. So thank you for asking that question. It is important for us. Yes.
Yeah, I just was wondering, maybe you're trying to keep it low key for whatever reason, and you never know, right?
Yeah. Because but once again, I was saying that even if we want, we can't serve 40,000 a year.
Right.
People. So that's why we do what we can, and we're constantly increasing our goal.
Yeah.
And making sure that our impact is high, and that our performance is and effective. And,
when you go out to these houses, to these families, are you all? Is it a one-off? Hey, we'll come in, do our thing, teach you a little bit, best of luck? Or is it hey, now that you're in our program, we're going to check in every 6 months, every year, every 5? Is there a reoccurring? Because stuff like that wears out, breaks, falls apart, whatever. So is there any reoccurring component of this, or is this a one and done, and we're hoping that you appreciate it and learn from it?
Typically, it is a one and done in the sense that we come out and do that work. We do try and follow up and do client surveys. Sometimes it is hard to get a hold of people for whatever reason. It's just, I think, the way life is right now. But we always encourage them. We leave them with a folder of the measures that we've done, with information about our program, with information about other programs. We always encourage them to reach out if anything, it starts deteriorating for whatever reason. But typically the measures that we do should last them quite a while, and it shouldn't be an issue for them. But people move. We serve clients twice, because they moved and they
two different households or whatever.
Right, exactly.
Or addresses, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
And also, I wanted to say, actually, before that's how it was, and the things that we do again is it's not something that light bulbs, or if something breaks that we did, of course we'll be back right away. But usually it's weather stripping a door, fixing a light, switching light bulbs to LEDs, installing energy efficiency water fixtures and things like that, putting mastic in the ducts and the vents that help, to seal the gaps there. Mastic is not gonna break down or anything. It's just By the way, I wanted to say that because we have received these programs in the past, Duke's, as Hannah was saying, a helping home fund where we could provide clients with additional appliances, additional, things like refrigerator or HVAC repair, but we don't always have those programs. But we see that this year, for example, we'll have another additional program. So what we start doing is we have a master project database, and we record special notes about each client, that knowing that maybe in the future we might get this additional funding where we can go back to our client database and be hey,
now we can help you with this. Yeah,
we can help you with that. So yes, we
cool.
Constantly, as we're growing, we're understanding what we can do better, how we can be more efficient. So yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So many questions. All right. So, sometimes I'm a pretty skeptical person. What's your screening process like, right? Like how does this something not, like, sustainability is based on this not getting taken advantage of? Is that something you wrestle with, or is it not been a non-issue so far? How do you balance that? We want to help and not just, I don't know, I guess what the question would be, but like, how do you make sure you're helping the people that need help and not just getting taken advantage of by people who are like, oh, look, free.
You know what? When we started this community, I remember taking a policy class about marginalized people.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're income qualified and if that's how they prefer to live, we want to help everyone who apply for our program. So yes, of course, some people might take advantage of our program, and we do what we can to screen them. But of course, there are some people who definitely want our help. For example, even with education, we educate clients and we teach them about certain energy efficiency behaviors. And we know that some people are really invested in doing those things, and other people just have too many things to worry about to pay attention to that. Like Maslow's pyramid of needs.
Right.
If their basic needs are not met, they can't think about if they think about there's food coming tomorrow and on my plate, then they can't think I need to wash on cold.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I don't really think, I've never felt like anyone's really taking advantage of us, because if they're income qualified and we get to know them and we go into their homes, identify these problems, it's a need. It's not like, oh, they don't need this, but we're going to do it anyway. Like, that's not how it works. So
no, perfect. And that makes sense.
No, I understand.
I just feel like anytime you're doing maybe it's just me. I'm like, I just always want to know what the answer to that question is, even if it's clear cut and clean, right? What do you guys work with, like, landlords a lot, or what's that relationship when the owner of the home might be able to, and some landlords have the ability, and other landlords definitely don't have the ability as well. Who's the qualifier at that point? Is it the tenant or is it the property owner?
So with our basic energy upgrade program, we leave it up to the tenant. We have them sign a terms and release form, and we have a clause in there that makes them responsible for the work that we do, just because it can be very difficult to get in touch with the landlord sometimes, or there's these certain issues that they're having that the landlord isn't coming through on, but we're able to do it for them. So that's how that works. But we've never had any issues with that with landlords. We actually are in contact with a couple landlords that will refer clients and homes to us, which we're happy to do. If they don't have the means to fix it themselves, of course we'll step in and do what we can. When it comes to other programs, like the Duke programs, if they are a renter, we do need to get the landlord to sign off, just because those are bigger projects.
Right.
But since the scope that we do is quite small, and we're not doing any sort of construction in the house by anything, so they're usually, everyone's
on board,
happy for us to come in and do that, and we've never had an issue.
I wanted to add that we do want to establish relationships with landlords, especially the landlords that own mobile parks. We have had before amazing landlords in mobile parks who were interested. They were so excited about our services that they even told their tenants that, hey, if you let these people serve you, I'll take 10% of your rent this month. And that was very helpful because, it was kind of, I guess, in this day and age, it's important to be responsible, and I'm glad to see that some landlords are good leaders and understand that you gotta take care of your people, and we have before tried to establish little meeting, connect to landlords, because really the biggest impact we can do are mobile homes, because those are tiny boxes that you would think efficient. we see people with bills $300 and more. It's just absurd to. So we do want to establish this relationship. So I hope somebody who's listening to this podcast will really understand the benefit of connecting to us.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned that. So mobile homes is something I'm all the time talking about the benefits and the important piece that they are to the housing puzzle here in Asheville. I think that personally, they're probably the biggest missing piece that isn't talked about enough. And I agree. Like the hardest thing is how do you actually make them sustainable through the winter months so that they can't fit, somebody who's in that low income, 200% of the poverty, right? Like that's, sometimes it's like, well, my furnace is going to be $300 a month. Doesn't matter how much the rent is. It puts me over the edge. So, do you guys have like a checklist or like anything like that you send out to people and say like, look, maybe you can do it on your own. You don't need us, but here are the things that we do that so somebody else can like implement or like check things off. Like, oh, okay, like my hot water heater's checked. Oh, like XYZ check, like kind of go through that process.
So we leave them with information that 3 things that they can do in their home to increase their energy efficiency.
Yeah.
When it comes to things like water heater wrapping and air sealing, I think we feel better and more responsible if we do it ourselves, just because when it does come to energy efficiency measures, doing them properly is definitely a key for it being as effective as possible. So if people don't necessarily know what they're doing or know how to use the tools, or
right.
they might not see something that we would pick up on and be like, oh, that's another spot that could definitely use help.
Yeah, no, but I mean like the list for like landlords, not necessarily like the tenants. So like the landlord's like, well, shoot, my rental's like, $1,500 a month. Like I know I won't qualify, but I do want to be part of this solution. Like what should I check for?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry, I misunderstood.
No, but because I have a follow up on that though now too. So
I think for that purpose, and it's a great question. I'm really glad you brought this idea. It's a great idea. So Blue Horizons project is we under their umbrella, and we specifically target low income people. The Blue Horizons project it was the result of that Rocky Mountain Institute report and the city of Asheville and Duke and all it's a plan how to move towards cleaner energy and energy efficiency future, which included not just low income but every community. So it's even a website. It's a community hub, and it's our colleague Sophie who we could bring it up to her and that we could create together such checklists for landlords who don't really qualify for our program. But
please do it. Yeah. I know it would be used, and a lot of people would appreciate not having to do the thought or legwork into outfitting a mobile home and do if the research is already done and it's an innate list, the ability to implement is going to be 10 times higher.
Yeah. But you're in real estate. Do you work with mobile homes or no? Yeah. So
I'd say probably somewhere in that 85% of all the rentals that we own and manage are all mobile homes. If you've been I don't know if you guys have listened, probably not, but if anybody who's listened to this podcast, again, I'm a huge advocate for mobile homes, for everything, really. I think they're such an important piece of the puzzle, and I think that they get a bad rep unnecessarily. And I wish if the city and the county are listening to this, they'd be a little bit friendly in their guidelines and zoning restrictions so that we could have more in, there's a conversation that needs to be had around that. And I think it's missing.
Exactly. For example, thinking that, another future thing we would like to incorporate is encouraging mobile park landlords to allow people to put trees, because trees is the best energy efficiency method. It keeps your houses in the shade in the summer. It keeps it, it protects it from the wind, in the winter. So things, but because of the zoning restrictions and things like that, it's just, it's hard to do. So it's very important to start that conversation in this community.
I have another question. I think like you guys have a lot of good stuff, and I am excited because I think like they're like a lot of this seems reasonably easy to implement. Do you guys offer like resources to landlords where you can say like, here, we'll email you a PDF, you can print it and then send it to your tenants, like on energy guidelines or like how to be more energy efficient? Or is these resources like all in-house and you kind of have to go through the program to be able to get like that packet you leave with tenants once they go through? Is that available? Like if I was like, hey, can I get that so I can send it to all of our tenant base? Or how does that work?
Brochure. It's actually really nice. I will grab it in a moment and I'll show what it looks like. But you know, it's important to landlords can do simple things: change shower heads, change light bulbs, maybe let us strip the door. But we also do diagnostic tests. It's called blower door test, which is, you know, it has to be done by a professional, and it's a great way to identify additional air leaks that will be seen with just a naked eye, because it's such a device you put on a door, like exterior door. You make sure all the windows in the house close, and all the doors, interior doors, are open. And it's pretty much a giant fan that you put on the door, and you turn it on, and it sucks all the air out of the house, which creates lower pressure inside of the house, and higher pressure outside of the house. And you know how air flows from the higher pressure to the lower pressure. So while this fan is running, first of all, we have a diagnostic measuring tool that tells you like how much air escapes cubic feet per meter or per minute. And we understand like, oh my gosh, for this size of the house, this is a leaky house. And what we also can do, we can just like walk around and we can feel this air coming from all these areas. It shouldn't be coming out. So we understand, okay, this is the opportunity for us to seal it. So, you know, caulking and, you know, sealing with spray foam or masking, that we found so many hidden holes that would never be found without that diagnostic tool. But yes, of course, we can provide landlords with a very simple checklist.
Well, if you email it to me, we will include it as part of the show notes. So anybody who's listening, you can just download directly off of our website or the show notes and wherever.
When the show will be released, because since we don't really have our personal official one, I don't want to take anybody's resources that we often use.
Well, we'll wait for you whenever you're ready. I feel like that's important to get it out. Like, I mean, why not?
To get back to your question briefly, we've actually never had that case happen. Any landlords that reach out technically want us to come out and do our services ourselves. We've never had anyone like just ask for resources or a checklist, but that would definitely be something that we could easily provide for sure.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested, we can do that. We can wait, I don't know how much time you guys want, depending how much it is, and just include that. So when the show releases, if you're listening and you're like, I need to want to be part of this solution, then you don't have to overthink it. Just download this, whatever it ends up being, and go for it. That'd be great. But I guess, you know, as we're wrapping up, do you, any closing thoughts as far as anything we maybe should have touched on that we haven't, or anything else that you think is relevant or important to share? Yes, you're excited. Go for it.
Well, you know, I just want to say that I'm glad that you are our venue, like a way to connect to broader community. And, you know, I started as a volunteer coordinator because I always had trouble asking people for help. And over the time, we've built out this amazing volunteer force, you know, who continues showing up, who continues staying committed, who made me believe in this organization before I believed in it, you know, when I was just starting out. And but I also understand that our resources depleting during the pandemic, you know, a lot of uncertainty in the community. And I just want to say that we are looking for volunteers, and it is a very unique opportunity for people to, you know, connect to the community, to understand, you know, how are, you know, people, lower income people live and all, and like to serve and, you know, to address multiple causes. And also one very important thing we didn't talk about, we provide a very unique feature that no other organizations in this town do. It's interior storm windows that we build ourselves. So every time we go to mobile homes with single pane windows. Those are windows, you probably know how expensive it is to replace windows. And single pane windows are extremely inefficient, and mobile homes just full of them often. So what we do, we measure those windows, and then we gather a workshop with our volunteers where we build the stone windows, and then we deliver them to the clients. And last year we received a report of sort of our performance, because there was a bigger program overseeing, our results and like our impact. And we definitely know that our windows make huge difference. There was one house that we put in 14 windows in it, and its performance improved by 20%.
That's amazing. Yeah, windows are the bane of my existence when it comes to mobile homes. Whenever possible, we try to just replace them and frame out with like traditional double paned house windows, because it's just always better. So I totally get that. Any closing thoughts, Hannah? Or
right now we need help from the community, reaching out to these people, just because we're not able to do client recruitment like we used to. We can't do that face-to-face, gain their trust. So just word of mouth, spreading information about our organization would be super helpful. We're also always looking for volunteers. And for me, I don't think many people in the Asheville area are from here. So for me, it's very fulfilling to be able to give back to the community that's given so much to me, that's given me this beautiful place to live and this beautiful life. And I'm just happy that I'm able to help people that can't help themselves. So I think it's just a great opportunity for people that are looking to get involved, to people in this community.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, I couldn't agree more with both of you all said. So
are incredible skills that you can take home with you and teach everybody you want. And of course, connect to the community and amazing intrinsic values.
Well, I mean, and so on that note, how does somebody listening get in touch with you all?
We have a website,
energysaversnetwork.org.
Okay.
And then we also have a phone number.
Go for it.
828-585-4492. So you can contact us there if you're interested in getting involved, or if you need help yourself, if you want to refer anyone to us, family, friends, neighbors, we're always open. We will be happy to talk to anyone and if we can't help you, like we said, we're kind of like a hub for the community. If we can't help you, we will try and find someone that can. So any questions, any issues, any concerns, our ears are here.
And also our email address that people can contact us is info@energysaversnetwork.org.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you two so much for joining us. Thanks for what you guys are doing here in the community and being part of change. That's always exciting. Hopefully, I'm excited for the resources. I think that will be a cool tool. So
we'll definitely get that together for you. And thank you so much. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this. It was so nice connecting with you, and hopefully we'll be able to, maintain a relationship.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. All right, you all, thank you so much for tuning into another episode. See you guys next week. And please share this one. This is an important one to share specifically. So see you all on the next one. Take care.